Hey friends, Donna Amidon here, and we are in a series called Come and See, how your story can lead others to faith. And in the studio, we have Nat Crawford. He is a spiritual fitness coach here at Back to the Bible, and he's going to be talking about Zacchaeus, that wee little man. And before we get to Zacchaeus, I would love to hear a little bit about what's been happening in your life, and I believe that includes a trip to Kenya. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Africa?
No.
No. Okay. So I've had the pleasure of being on most continents and being able to teach in different contexts.
Awesome.
But I've never had a context quite like this. Wonderful people. One of the nice things is a lot of people speak English. So that's an easy, transition for a guy like me.
Plus.
But, so I taught in northern Kenya, very rural, very desolate. First time I've ever preached in a hut, which was an eye-opener.
Wow.
And very different scenario, different audience. But I spent about 3 days after that teaching local ministry leaders and pastors who came from 14 different tribes to come and share the gospel. And here's what I find so both encouraging and convicting. There are a lot of challenges over there. They just don't have all the resources we do. And yet, every person there, when they worshiped without reservation.
Yeah.
There was just nothing holding them back from praising God and recognizing Jesus as the source of their hope and joy. Contrast that to how many of us approach many things we experience in life. Even while I was there, kind of funny, every meal, I ate the same thing for, 3 meals a day. 6 days in a row, and I was known at the end to go, golly, what I wouldn't give for a burger. And yet they were just so joyful, so passionate to give all their time and attention to being resourced with the gospel because they want to go back to where they're coming from to say, come and see Jesus. So just an incredible opportunity to see God at work. 90% of the people that we were around were Muslims, and yet the gospel's being spread and Jesus is being made famous. So God is at work across the globe. In fact, despite what we can do. So God is so good. Wonderful trip. Excited to go back. But I hope you get to go sometime and see it for yourself.
I would love to go. I have been to other countries, and I have experienced similar to what you have. There is such a hunger
Absolutely.
there that you really don't see in the States as much. And I feel like God responds to that hunger. And there's just such a beautiful presence.
Far less barriers than we have here, right?
It is.
Far less distractions.
Well, praise God that you did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll be
great.
doing it again.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
In the future, yeah.
I'm sure.
That's all. Did your family go with you, or did you have a
just
team?
me. Nope, just me. Yeah.
Wow.
And we had a team, but not my family. And they would like to go. Hopefully they'll go. My wife Tiffany is probably going to go next year and serve in another capacity. But yeah, I would encourage anyone, if you've never gone overseas and experienced what God is doing, go right away.
Yeah, I would second that for sure. Well, we've talked about your Kenyan trip, but we also have something to talk about, and that's your teaching that you just did yesterday on Zacchaeus. He was a little man, but he had this big testimony. He shared his faith. Yeah. Tell us what we can learn about him.
Oh my goodness. The thing I really like about Zacchaeus is if you really think about who he was a completely broken person, despised by society, someone that most people rejected, and yet there was something inside of him that was deeply longing for healing, restoration, connection, forgiveness, and he goes and tries to find Jesus. But then what happens is Jesus sees him and he calls him out by name, right? And then you see this process of them coming together and Jesus engages him. But Zacchaeus isn't indifferent towards Jesus, right? The connection happens, and then you begin to see life transformation. Like, that's what I think is really the testimony and the power of Zacchaeus is was known for one thing, and then in the story you see a complete 180, right? That's what Jesus came to do. He didn't just come to save our souls, but he came to transform our lives. And so Zacchaeus sees it, experiences it, and lives it. And I think that's why his story is so powerful.
Yeah, because no one can deny your testimony.
Right.
You can list off attributes of God, but when they see a transformed life,
bingo,
there's nothing that can change.
Bingo.
And we saw beforehand he was a hoarder of money. He was
exploited people. Right.
And then he gives and gives.
Absolutely.
It's a true picture of what can happen when we truly encounter Christ.
Exactly.
Other people see it, and they get to see the beauty of that as well.
Right.
Awesome.
Love this story.
Awesome story. Well, Nat, you have this rich ministry, and I'm sure there were people along your path that poured into you over the years. Who is someone that did that for you?
You're right. There's a lot of people who have invested in me. probably the person who's had the most profound impact in my life is my wife.
Wow.
My wife is a 1 Corinthians 13 type woman when it says love is. Early on in our marriage, I won't go into details, but the beginning of our marriage was real rough. And we both made mistakes, but I made a lot of really bad mistakes and really hurt her. And she loved me enough to turn me over to God and to forgive me fully. And that type of forgiveness, I don't think can come from someone who hasn't been radically transformed by the gospel, by Jesus Christ. So if it wasn't for Tiffany, I would not be where I am today.
Wow.
I wouldn't have my family, wouldn't have her, wouldn't have a ministry. So by far, she's had the greatest continual impact, and when I say initial impact, just in the moment of complete desperation in my life, where she forgave me, loved me, kept pointing me back to Christ, and continually does today. So, I mean, I can't think of a better person.
I love that. And now you're a partner with her in spreading the news and
Absolutely.
inviting others to come and see what God's done in your life.
Exactly right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love
incredible.
that. Great. Well, thanks again, Nat, for coming in the studio today. And friends, thank you so much for joining us. Yesterday, Nat encouraged you to leave a comment about the way Jesus has changed your life. And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, we would love to hear from you. Your story will encourage us, and it's also going to encourage those who are watching. Now, be sure to join us again tomorrow as we continue our series called Come and See, How Your Story Can Lead Others to Faith. And tomorrow, we have the joy of hearing from John Winkleman, who will be talking about Mary Magdalene and her experience of sharing the greatest news in history, the resurrection of Jesus. We'll see you then.